call mechatronics, but my specialty was more in robotics and automation. So because of that, I was fortunate enough to work for some big names around here in Canada and work for some big, work on projects for some big companies. I'm talking about, Cummins, OPG, Toyota, ETS Automation, worked on project with Kuka, Fanuc. So that's just the space I've been. But I would say overall, you can say yes, maybe I'm a mechanical engineer in some sense, but it's more mechanical engineering tied closely to controls and electrical. So it's almost like
And it is episode 8. Welcome to the Project Management Experience. I am so excited because today we have someone who is a project manager and a coach. Interesting, right? So you can imagine the golden nuggets he would be dishing out today. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Project Management Experience, where we share real life experiences about how project managers are doing simply amazing in the project management domain. And today we have a very important personality. His name is Kelly Boyi. He's currently project manager with Cummins and working on advanced green energy technologies, helping the world's largest companies decarbonize their operations and hit their net zero targets. He's been doing project management for quite a long while now. Outside his regular 9 to 5 commitments, he runs a career consulting company called Consult with Kelly. Nice, right? There he empowers individuals with the right knowledge and skills to achieve, of course, their highest potential. So join me to welcome Kelly Boyi. Really exciting to have you, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
Nice, very nice. So tell us, Kelly, how long have you been doing project management?
So I studied as an engineer. So I'm actually a licensed engineer here in Canada. But these days I work full time as a project manager. But I would say since I left college, I've always been in this project space where I'm working on project and under project managers. Um, I've held different positions in that time. I've worked as an engineer and I've also worked as a project manager. Officially, I transitioned into the official title as a project manager, I would say 3, 4 years ago. But even before I had that title, I've always been in this project space, which as an engineer, it was just a straightforward transition. When I was looking at, okay, I've worked in engineering for a while. What else is next for me? Just because I've worked on some amazing project managers, for me, it just made sense. Okay, you know what? Project management is the next thing for me. And so far, since I transitioned, I've enjoyed it, honestly. And I think one of the big things that made me transition, I was asking myself, as an engineer, I enjoyed what I did, but I was asking myself, can I work less while making more? And the answer was yes. It was clear, project management.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that this is just perfect because about 2, 3 days ago, I had someone reach out and she was telling me she's been working as an engineer for about 20 years now, and she wants to transition into project management. So I think that this is really exciting, especially for a lot of engineers out there that are looking to transition. So what part of engineering were you doing? Was it construction, chemical, electrical? Do you want
I
to?
went to school for mechanical systems engineering, which some people will call mechatronics, but my specialty was more in robotics and automation. So because of that, I was fortunate enough to work for some big names around here in Canada and work for some big, work on projects for some big companies. I'm talking about, Cummins, OPG, Toyota, ETS Automation, worked on project with Kuka, Fanuc. So that's just the space I've been. But I would say overall, you can say yes, maybe I'm a mechanical engineer in some sense, but it's more mechanical engineering tied closely to controls and electrical. So it's almost like a weird fuse of like controls, electrical and mechanical together.
Sounds really exciting. Mechatronics. There was something I want to piggyback on something you said from your last response. You said you wanted to do something that was less, is it stressful? So are you implying are you implying that project management is, soft work? Is that the implication or?
When I compare sort of the amount of sweat I was putting in engineering and project management, I think there was more in engineering. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy what I did. I was working with robots. I was working on some of the leading technologies. I was working on EV stuff, like the Teslas, those kind of stuff. That's what I was working on. I was working on like nuclear automation. I was working on pharmaceutical automation. So I was, high tech stuff. And I enjoy what I did, but I noticed just the amount of effort and the time I was putting in. And as I was growing personally, I was like, you know what, I need more time for myself. And what can I do that is close enough to engineering, but also gives me more flexibility, more freedom? I can maybe work from anywhere I need to, that remote hybrid sense, make more. So it's not like it's chilling, but I would say it's less intense.
I definitely agree with you. Less intense, more flexibility. You have control over your own time. So yeah, those are some of the pros, yeah, not cons, pros. Some of
Pros,
the things
definitely
I
pros.
enjoy. So I would like you to tell us a little bit about how you transition from the engineering role into project management, and maybe on that in that same vein, right on how whether you would subscribe to prospective project managers, taking the PMP first, or whether you would advise that they take some form of official training before they get into the project management space.
My advice to any project manager, especially the new ones. So for me, like I said, I was very fortunate enough to, come out of college. While I was working in the field, I was working closely with with project managers all around. So it was easy for me to start picking some of their skills and the experience. So even though my job said engineer, I was already coordinating projects. I was already leading projects, engaging stakeholders, looking at estimating budget and all that, writing technical documentation proposals, talking to customers, vendors, finance, operations. So I was sort of, I think it's something I'll call almost like a mini project manager, but my title says engineer. So you can think it in some sense of like a project engineer. So it's easy for me to start saying, okay, you know what? I know how to coordinate meetings. I know how to facilitate meetings, how to communicate, engage stakeholders, look at the budget, look at contracts, those kind of things. It was easy for me to start picking up on them. And with that, I've always had this mindset of continuous development. So I've always been this jack of all trades, master of none. I'm a generalist as opposed to a specialist. And I enjoy it. I like to try different things, just dabble in different domains. And I've always had that mentality. So every year, I'm always taking 2 to 4 classes of certification in something, whether it's business, in project management, in IT. I just want to learn because I find that I've become a better problem solver. So I'm able to go into these different domains and get inspiration to solve my problem. So that's what I kept on doing as an engineer. The certifications was I was doing, I had my Scrum certification, I had my CSPO for product management. I was just doing these things because I wanted to learn. That's just the truth. And I think when it was time for me to transition, the funny thing was because, like I said, I was working closely with project managers, so I understood the different phases of a project. I understood, okay, here's how you need to react as a project manager. So for me, I took a step. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go take the PMP. Why not? So I took my PMP, I passed it. I'm like, okay. But I would say, like I said, the only reason why I think I was able to succeed in that certification is because I was working closely with project managers. So I was already doing some of these things and like a mini project manager. And I got my professional license as an engineer as well. I did also take some project management classes. I took some, actually took a boot camp as well, like a 3 month boot camp. But I think I got my PMP before I actually took a boot camp. Again, Kelly just wants to learn. Typically, what I would say, and I think when it got for me to the point where I needed to transition, I packaged everything. I said, okay, how do I reflect on my resume, on my LinkedIn, that yes, I'm an engineer today, but I've pretty much cultivated the skills and the talent that would enable me to succeed as a project manager. And that's what I did on my resume. But one thing I also did was while I was actually studying, taking, project management class at Waterloo, 4 weeks classes, 8 weeks classes on YouTube, whatnot. I was also telling my boss, telling my colleagues at work, telling people on LinkedIn, like, hey guys, here's where I want to go in 2 years. Here's where I want to be in a year. So I was already telling that narrative. So it's easy for people to know, yeah, Kelly's an engineer today, but he wants to become a project manager tomorrow. And when the time was right, I packaged everything in my resume. I put it in front of my boss. And I'm like, I'm ready to transition. I'm going to apply for this role. And for him, he said, you know what, you're a great engineer. I would like to keep you here, but I think you have the skills. And if you want to, try your hand in project management, go ahead. And I think I did 2 interviews. I got one of them. And that's how I transitioned. So that worked for me. But I think going back to your other question in terms of would you encourage engineers to do, people to do the same thing? I would say yes. First and foremost, get hands-on experience. Wherever you're working right now, there are always projects around. If you need to find a mentor, a coach, or just take on more project leadership roles, do that and get close to these project managers and start, curating these skills. And then maybe you can try your hand on that PMP, right? Maybe you could try your hand on that PMP and see if you pass. I've actually had some people where they didn't really take any training just because, again, I think they're also engineers. I think maybe engineers are designed like that. They took the PMP and the pass. But again, I think for them, it's more like a paper for them. For me, it's more like I want to learn. So I would say get some experience, take some training, and then try your PMP.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kelly. What I hear is treat your transition into project management like a project manager. Because you basically set a plan, set a goal, and then you went systematically, planning that transition, which is really fantastic. And yes, to everyone out there, you're an engineer looking to transition, trying to grab some of those skills, the way, Kelly went about it is also really essential. It sort of, gives you an edge and puts you on that path to success. So well done, Kelly. I appreciate you sharing that. You mentioned connecting with a coach and connecting with a mentor. As a coach, have you had experience with working with project managers or people that were, they wanted to get into project management? What was the experience like? Would you share some of the highlights and lowlights and maybe your advice as well for people that are looking to get into the PM space?
Yeah, so I always get approached by people to coach or mentor them. First, let me say this. I'm not a big fan of mentoring. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I actually enjoy doing it, but in general, I don't like mentoring people because for me to be a mentor, I don't just mentor anyone that approaches me. I actually take my time to ensure we're actually aligned and we can work together, like we're good fit. That is the truth. Because I don't want to be in a situation where someone is out there and then someone asks them, "Oh, who's your mentor?" And then they're like, Ellie, really, Kelly's teaching you this stuff. I want someone where when they walk or they present themselves, people are like, you know what, you're doing great. Who's your mentor? And then they say, oh, it's Kelly. And they're like, you know what? Good. So when people approach me and say, mentor me, I'm like, are you ready to put in the work? Because I'm very direct. That's just the truth. I'm direct. That's who I am. I'm respectful, but I'm also direct. The fact is, the average professional is lazy. So if you're not ready to haul ass, don't even bother approaching me. And then on the flip side, as a coach, obviously I get paid to coach people. Yes, people approach me, okay, I'm trying to break into project management. How do I go about it? I'm a coordinator. How do I, eventually transition into project management full time? And yes, those are some of the best highlights for me where I work with someone for like, 3 months, 6 months, and then I see in a couple months later, their job title is project manager. I'm like, we did it. You did it, right? And pretty much I just share with them what worked for me in terms of, have a strategy, make sure you are bodying up with these project managers at work, make sure you're connecting with them, not just within your work, but also outside. Make sure you're doing hands-on projects. If you're moving, I keep telling people there are projects all over the place, all over. If you're moving, let's say you're moving from one building to the next, it's a project. You have a budget in terms of furniture, in terms of getting a truck. Why don't you create a spreadsheet to track your budget? Create a schedule to say, okay, you start folding your clothes and moving stuff into the boxes from this day to that. It's a project. And if you can do that, that's hands-on experience. Take boot camps. I recommend 1 or 2 boot camps for them. I tell them, okay, also look at some certifications if you can, like some of the easy stuff, maybe like the Agile certification, like Scrum Master, those kind of things. Watch YouTube videos, take some classes maybe at Waterloo, because again, Waterloo has like this 4 to 8 weeks programs that you can pay for. And look within your company, do you have employee reimbursement where you can take some classes or certification or boot camps and the company will pay you back? A lot of companies have that these days, but guess what? It's free money. People don't use it. I'm one of those guys. I usually max it out every year. So I tell people do those things, and I show them, I'll coach them on how to network with the right people. Because again, you just don't want to network with your peers. You want to network with people because actually, people 2, 3 steps ahead of you. Because those are the people that will open doors for you. Those are the people that will connect you with the right opportunity. So that's what I do. And when I see the impact in people's lives and actually see them transition, let's say they're doing customer success management, and eventually I see things like, oh, I eventually transition to a Scrum Master or Project Manager. I'm like, you know what, perfect. We did it. Pretty much, yeah. That's what I sell to my clients and to my mentees.
All right, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. I hear network, plan, strategize, be ready to put in the work, and be ready to, of course, take the amount of trainings that are needed. Even if you're going to get a mentor or a coach, that coach will not perform magic. And I can really say that sincerely from experience. Right? A lot of people are not ready to put in that work, commitment, dedication, and effort to actually achieve results. And you really just hit the nail on the head, Kelly.
And one thing to add to that, when it comes to taking classes, I always tell people you need to look. Perspective matters a lot. Sometimes people say when it comes to upskilling and professional development, it's expensive. One strategy is make sure your company has reimbursement. That's one thing. Two, at the start of each year, have a budget for your professional development. But also, when you spend this money, don't consider it as an expense. Consider it an investment because that $100 or $1,000 you invest today, that becomes 10, 20 grand in 6 months. And I tell people, you walk into a store, you want to buy a shoe, we splurge $300 on a sneaker. We don't think twice. But when it's time to spend 250 on a course, you're like, it's too expensive. I'm like, perspective matters a lot. That shoe, you throw it out in 2 years, but that 250 you spent right now invested in your career, it becomes 20, 25 grand in 2 years. So perspective matters as well. So that's what I try to nudge my mentees, like, look at it this way instead.
I totally agree with you. For me, I will not spend that money on shoes. Sorry, though. I would rather go for a course that I know that would, like you said, that investment, investing in yourself is so critical. And you think that it doesn't matter, but it does. When they look at you, at your resume and see that you took an 8-week program, spend 2,500 or 2,500 on yourself, they will be very, very, very willing to give you that salary that you're asking for because they know that this one is a high net worth individual, right? So
Correct.
I totally agree with you, Kelly. So I want you to talk a little bit about maybe one project that you successfully handled and how it went, what you did, what were the tools you utilized, the methodology. Just tell us, give us a brief on PM basically.
Okay, there's a couple because I've worked on IT projects, I've worked on automations, but let's pick an automation project. So I think there's
Yes.
one we worked on because again I've worked on a wide area of projects from like $5,000 projects all the way to like $60 million project. That's how big. I would say let's talk about some of the big ones. I think the reason why I want to talk about this one, it's a project where we were designing the automation line that would assemble the batteries that went into the electric vehicle. And in this case, it's actually the electric Hummer, the new Hummer from, I think if you Google it, you'd see it. It's a truck. So the battery that went to a truck. Why I enjoyed that project is just the entire thing. Obviously, I've been in this space a little bit where I want to reduce my own consumption and waste. So I've always told myself I want to be in this space where whatever I do, whatever project I worked on, is impacting humanity in a very positive light. So electric vehicle is one of those things that's impacting us in a positive light. We're reducing our emissions. So that's one reason why I love the project. Also, eventually, the project was eventually delivered on time and on budget, but just a lot of things I did, the stakeholders I met, the traveling, those are some parts I enjoyed in that project. I would say in terms of the tools I use, I'm talking about the basics, right? Microsoft project for schedule tracking, documentation, a contract on Microsoft Word. And when it comes to like ticketing and assigning work to people, Jira was one of the tools we used. PowerPoint is another one as well, just for, kickoff meeting and all of that. I use PowerPoint. Sometimes I would say Visio just to sketch out, okay, here's how the process flows. What other tools? So I'm just talking about this project particularly. Outside this project, I've used other tools like Monday.com, Smartsheet as well. Once in a while, I love data, so I tend to look at the data of the project just to make sure things, for example, like open items. Sometimes in a project, you can have so many open items, and it's hard for you to walk into meetings with like leadership and say, oh, let's look at Excel spreadsheet. So what I do is I track those data and I put them in Power BI and I create a nice dashboard and say, okay, we're closing things. Here's where we are in terms of coded items or issues, those kind of things, and we're actually closing things. And look at the people with the highest number of open items. We need to get their managers to get them to work and close these items out. So those are some of the tools I use, at least software tools in general. Outside that, the other tools, when it comes to budget management, Excel is one amazing tool I use in terms of tracking my budget and whatnot. And then other times, I think there's like this Oracle system I've used, like the ERP system, just to tracking to see, did we get a shipment? Did we get an order? Has it been delivered? Is it delayed? Those kind of things. So I think JD Edward is one of the ones I can remember for an ERP system. And there's a couple more for sure, but those are some of the few ones I remember right now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm quite interested in knowing what is your view, and I hope that I'm not throwing you under the bus with this, but what is your view with working with a BA, a business analyst? Have you had the opportunity to work with one? A lot of people struggle between, oh, should I go for project management or should I go for business analysis? And I'm sure you would agree with me. So what's your view and take on those two roles?
So firstly, I haven't actually had the opportunity to work with a lot of BAs, which is weird because I tell people sometimes people think for every company with with project managers, they have BAs. I'm like, not true. I've actually, most of the companies I've worked with, they don't really have BAs. Or even if they do have BAs, I wasn't really working with them, which is weird. But in some other cases, I've actually worked with one or two BAs, and the difference between them is, in most cases, as a BA, your role there is to improve processes, to ensure that processes are improved, to gain some efficiency and productivity, to meet the business requirements or business needs. That's what a BA is there for. Engaging with stakeholders, getting requirements and seeing, okay, how do we take this process from here to make us more efficient? And as you're doing that as a BA, typically the process of you doing that and improving the process, it becomes a project, which means someone needs to manage that project because now in that project, as a BA, you're not the only person working there. You may need help from finance. You may need help from software guys. You may need help from vendors or consultants outside. Someone needs to coordinate all of that work to make sure everyone is working, everyone is synchronized. And that's where the project manager comes in. So the project manager is more, okay, we have to deliver this project now, whether it's a process improvement project or a new product or a new software. We have to deliver this project. We have this time. We have this budget. We know our scope. Now let's deliver it. How do I coordinate the work? How do I ensure once this work is finished, then the next one starts, the next one? How do we make sure everything is documented and eventually delivered and handed over to whoever? So the roles are very similar in terms of the skills needed because the project manager, you're doing a lot of documentation, communication, stakeholder engagement. You're leveraging your soft skills. You're also leveraging your problem solving and analytical skills. On the flip side, as a BA, you're actually using those same skills as well. Because again, you're gathering requirements, you're talking to people, so communicating again. You are analyzing data, right? You are obviously doing presentation and documentation. So the roles, in terms of the skills, are similar, but in totality, the roles are a bit different. But nonetheless, because a lot of BAs work closely with PMs, what I notice is it's just like, okay, I'm here, I'm a senior BA, where else do I want to go? You know what? Project manager, because I already have some of the skills. That's how I see those two roles.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Quite intertwined. Sometimes a bit more technical. So I definitely agree with you on the business analyst and project management side of things. Now, my next question, and really I'm enjoying this interaction so much because you're really taking me back to a lot of things. I remember when I first started project management, I never had the opportunity to work with a business analyst. And for the first, will I say 9 years, no, not 9 years, about 7 years of my working, I never worked with a BA. And it was when I got into Canada, I actually started work. I had the opportunity to work with a BA for the first time. And it was very funny because she was not very experienced, but and then she needed to lean on me for a lot of things because basically she was not very experienced in IT. So when you're getting into the IT space, especially as a BA, you need to have a lot of experience with
domain knowledge,
markups, use cases.
Prototyping, use cases. Yeah, I know what you
So
mean.
you need to have, and you need to know how to work with developers. You know how the technical team can be. They are very, very slippery. And then they'll tell you they're fixing a bug. One bug is taking 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks.
Right?
So that was my very, very first interaction with a BA. A lot of people, well, I've seen some experienced BAs. After that, I had the opportunity to work with a very, very senior level BA that was so good, so experienced, and quite good at project management. So yeah, it really depends. And I always say that both roles need to actually lean on each other to make, the project work successful, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to tell me about a situation where you were like, man, I'm done with project management. Like, I'm just done. Has that ever happened to you? Where you wanted to throw in the towel and just walk away?
I think I've actually been say enough to have not experienced that yet, and I hope I don't. But the fact is, yeah, there are some days where project management is chill, you're just coasting, doing your thing. Then there's some frustrating days where, let's say, a good example is not too long ago where we're working on this project, we're going to an R&D project, and all of a sudden, again, because of macroeconomic conditions, like, you know what? We're putting this project in the back burner. Not really scrap it, just shift it, right? Now, move the entire team's attention to this project. It was a bit frustrating because the benefit, or should I say, one of the nice part of the job as a project manager is actually seeing a project to the end, seeing that it was finished. Everyone is like, yeah, we don't hate the project manager anymore, and the project is actually like handed over to the next person. There's this fulfillment that comes with it. But when you're caught like midway and then you're like, get this, it is frustrating. But I don't think I've gotten to the point where it was too frustrating. I'm like, you know what, I'm throwing down the toy and that's it. No, and I hope I never get there. Fingers crossed.
I don't think you will, sincerely, because I can see the passion, I can see the love for project management. And I think that really as you get older and, climb up the ladder, you get, some things become normal. You're used to a lot of environments, used to a lot of projects, knowing they come with their different complexities. And, so somehow you get to that level when you just coast through it, right? And yeah, well done, Kelly. I appreciate you sharing that. I have kept you a lot beyond time. So I probably would just say and request for one last piece of advice for PMs out there looking, or let me not say PMs, non-PMs that are looking to transition into project management space. I know you said a lot for engineering. Now, non-PMs out there in any space, any domain at all, what is that last final advice you have for them?
I think I've got a series of advice. I'll call it, strategy to eventually transition into the space. And here's what I would say. I would say network. If I put exclamation mark behind that, network, 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 network. The fact is, you have to surround yourself with people that would inspire you to get there. If you are, let's say, in customer success management, and everyone you know works in customer success management, I'm sorry, that transition will be harder than you think. You need to start networking with the project coordinators, project managers, program managers. Those are the people that will push you and also inspire you, because when you are among them, the fact is you want to do better and you can pick their brain. So the network, expand your network in that sense, right? The second one I would say is focus on hands-on experience. Everything around you is a project. If there's something around you, like I keep going back to a simple situation. If you're moving, that's a project. Open up Jira, it's free. Open up Trello, create a spreadsheet and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to manage this project and see how to run this project from start to finish. Focus on hands-on experience. Next, I would say, do not sleep on professional development. Make sure you are watching YouTube videos, lots of stuff you can find on YouTube. If you can take classes, right? Boot camps. If you can take those, pay attention to those. I would say get hands-on experience. Take some training if you can. Then the next one I would say, be persistent. The fact is, we all have our different capacities in life. Some people are lucky where they apply and then boom, they get it. Some people it takes them 3 months, some at 6 months. So I would say be consistent and be persistent. Just keep on going and your time will come. And then in general, I would say just learn the foundation, the basic knowledge of project management. I'm talking about, cost, stakeholder management, risk management, change management, the different phases of project, know those basic stuff, right? And at work, try to take more of those leadership project roles. If there's something coming up in your team and they say, we've got this small project, it's 2 weeks, but it's something, who's going to lead it? Don't shy away. Don't go and hide at the back of the row. You know what? Tell them, okay, I may not have the experience, but I am going to try my hands at it. And the fact is, maybe the first go you may fail, but maybe next time out you will succeed. And guess what? That is hands-on experience. Do all of these things, and I guarantee you will start seeing traction in your transition.
Wow, that's so powerful. Thank you. Network, hands-on experience, seek for opportunities, training, and be committed. Beautiful. Well summarized. I'm going to hold you on something though. You said that I should cut off my friends that are customer care representatives. I should not network with them. Well noted. I'm going to hold you on that. So if I stay with them,
yeah, let me correct that. So I'm not saying cut them off. I'm saying, so the fact is this, right? For like me and you now, we grew up in an environment in Nigeria and we had to leave that space. But you realize when you left Nigeria and you moved here, your mind just opened up and you're like, oh, okay, there's some possibility here. Like my consulting company, I don't think I would have started it if I wasn't here because I saw opportunity and I took it. So what happens is, I'm not saying get rid of your friends or your current colleagues. No, I'm saying I maintain that relationship, but make sure if you're trying to get into project management, make sure you have project managers in your network. Make sure you have program managers in your network, people in that same space. Because if all you do, you're just hanging out with your group of engineers or customer service people, the fact is you guys are just going to remain there. That's just the truth. So you need to surround yourself with people that will push you. I think what's this guy's name? Jordan Peterson puts it like this: surround yourself with people who want the best for you. What he's trying to say is, if you're trying to go to the moon, surround yourself with people that want to go to the moon, because you guys will feed off each other's energy. That's just the truth.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. Well said, well summarized. I was just, playing around that to have you, of course, expatiate on that. Really important that you have people around that are in that same space so that they can rub off on you and, of course, encourage you, motivate each other. Iron sharpened iron, right? So that's just it. Okay. All right, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being on the PME today. Really appreciate you coming in, and we hope sincerely to have you again sometime soon on the PME. Thank you so very much, Kelly. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.